Hey there YouTube fans, AC Productions here, and today I'm going to show you how to install the secondary brake light. Let's face it, out there, a lot of drivers are distracted with their technology in the car, either fiddling with the radio, texting and driving, talking and driving with their phone to their ear, and a lot of times drivers don't see you, especially with this small little brake light that most of our sport bikes have. So having a secondary light that will catch drivers' attention to let you know that you're slowing down or coming to a stop can be very helpful. Okay, tools needed for the job is going to be a soldering gun, rosin core solder, some zip ties, electrical tape, solder paste flux, wire strippers, a 4mm Allen key, and a Phillips screwdriver. Also, for this LED installation, it's going to be remote with its receiver. So this will help you change the patterns of the brake lights you wish to have. And then also you're going to need some LED strips, preferably red. If you're going to go with LED strips, I would suggest staying away from this style of LED strip. This is an LED strip that already comes with a blinking option controlled by this little mode button here. The reason I say stay away from this LED blinking one is because they may work perfectly at the beginning by having a matching identical blink, but over time one is going to blink a different option compared to the other one. So it might have a different mode and it won't be simultaneously at the same time blinking. This may have a strobe effect and this might have a fade effect. I would suggest to stay away from this one. Just get a regular on and off LED strip. That's why we're using this method, which comes with a remote and a controller. That way you could program it and set it, and so far I have not had any problems with one blinking differently than the other. The length of the LED strips are 12 inches each, and you're also going to need a bike stand. This will help keep your bike leveled, so having a leveled bike actually helps out a lot. If you are not comfortable doing any type of electrical work using these products, there is an alternative for you to still get the job done, and it'll be these pieces right here. They're called Posi Taps, and I will demonstrate to you on how easy it is to use these little guys. And for this installation, you're going to need 4 of them. Okay, here are all the things that you're going to need to take off. You're going to have to take off this screw here, this one here. You're going to have to take off your rear seats. And then in the back seat here, I'm going to have to take out these 2 screws right here and these 2 screws over here. And then on the underneath side, you're going to have to take out this little small screw here. It's a plastic one, so you just need to turn it a little bit and then it comes off. And it goes the same for the other side and right here. Also, a good tip for you guys when dealing with taking out a lot of screws. If you have a small Ziploc bag laying around, as you're taking the screws out, just put them into the bag. That way you don't lose the screws. Okay, once you take off these 2 screws, you're going to get to this one. And if you notice, there's a little slant to taking out the bolt. It's not going to want to come out. So trick would be, after you take out these 2 first, you like to do is just slide this over. Now you're able to take out the bolt completely. Okay, now that you got all the screws out, now it's time to take off the pieces. So first you want to make sure when you're taking the plastics off that you're very careful not to overextend and taking them out because they can crack. It is plastic. So let's just go by taking off this little piece. Put it off to the side. Now that you have that piece off, you have this part that you can actually wiggle around. This could be a little bit tricky on how to take it out. Just do your best on maneuvering it off. Forgot to mention there is some metal collars into where the bolts were. Just pop them out. That way you don't lose them. Be kind of tricky to get them out because they come off really easy. And if you take off the tail light, these might fall out and they might fall into the frame of the bike. And good luck trying to retrieve one of these. It did happen to me. Luckily, I was able to grab it with a magnet to get it out. It was a very tight space, but I'm just letting you guys know so it doesn't happen to you guys. Pop these little guys out. Once you get it out, just put it into your little Ziploc bag of screws and then seal it where your screws are at, even my tools in here. That way I don't lose anything. Put it off to the side. You're also going to need to take out this screw right here and the same thing on the other side, which would be the screw right over here. Taking these 2 screws out, you're going to be able to move the plastic tail end a little bit better. Inside are these tabs and it's on each side, so one there and one there. To get it out of those tabs, what you're going to need to do is pull on the plastic part of the tail part of the bike. Pull it outwards, pull it out towards that direction to get it loose from the pins here. So it is connected on the rubber grommet there, right there. So just pull it outwards and it should come right out as you're wiggling this part to get the tail light out. Now you're ready to take out your tail light. So like I said, just maneuver it out. It will come out. You just gotta move it around, and then if you need to, just pull the plastic panels out and then just take it out. Okay, after getting your taillight pretty much almost out, what you want to do is be careful because there is some wires there. You don't want it to have it hanging. Next, you're going to have to take out this little screw right here, which is holding the cables in place. So instead of having your taillight hanging, just maneuver it through the plastic here so you don't scratch your plastic lens. Put a towel here and then just lay it here on the top. So just grab your towel and then just place it here, and then just grab your tail light and just place it here on the top. Okay, I'm letting you know that I've already done this process prior to my YouTube channel. I'm just going to walk you through it on what I did and to pinpoint which cable you're going to be going and splicing into or using the Posi Tap on. So you're going to have some insulation. If you have any insulation like that, just go ahead and use an X-Acto knife, or if you're able to grab a spot, just unwrap it and peel it off. Okay, once you get all the electrical tape off, or as much as you can, you're going to notice on your tail light you're going to have a yellow cable. Sorry if it's a little blurry, but I try to zoom in closer with my camera and it won't focus properly. You're going to have a yellow cable, a blue cable, and a black cable. The cables that you're going to need to splice into or use your Posi Tap is going to be the yellow cable and the black cable. The yellow cable only turns on when you press the brake lever, and then obviously the black is ground. The blue cable is when you turn on your headlights in your bike. This is the always on connection, and you only want your second tail light to turn on when you press the brake lever. So we're going to tap into the yellow cable. So yellow cable only turns on when you press the brake lever. The blue cable is the always on. So if you want your second taillight to always be on, then you would go with the blue one. Okay, from your LED strip, you're going to get the 2 positive cables from each one. So each LED strip is going to have 1 positive cable. You want to get them both and then splice it and then just tie them both together. So your 2 positives together, and then on your negative cables you want to splice one end and then tie it both in together. So the 2 negatives are together and the 2 positives are together before connecting. Okay, now that we identified which cables we're going to splice into, if you are going to use the Posi Tap method, what you want to do, okay, now that we're going to splice into these, so we're going to use the Posi Tap method. You're going to grab your LED controller, and on the side that says the volt side, not the LED side, the volt side, we're going to use that side to connect to your tail light. You want to turn this around and grab to the volt side. What you're going to do here is we're going to splice the cables. Okay, so now grab your cable splicer. You don't need to trim that much off, just a little bit. Okay, maybe we'll go with a little bit more. These are thick cables. I would say that should be good enough. Now next you want to do is just twist the cables. Reason for twisting the cables is that it'll go in a lot smoother. If you still have them out like that, chances are when you put them in, the cables are going to separate like this. And you don't want something like this going into your Posi Tap cables that are just coming apart. So that's the reason for twisting the cable. It keeps everything nice and neat. Okay, so now that you already stripped out the cables, next what you want to do is you want to grab your Posi Tap and you want to grab the side with the hole at the end. So just unscrew it. We're going to start with the positive cable, so just feed the positive cable through. And it should stick out about that much. If you have something, if you put it in and it's not sticking out that much, maybe like this little, like this much, take it out and splice a little bit more. You want to make sure you have a good amount sticking out from the Posi Tap part area. So that looks good enough. Now we're going to screw it back in. So as you can see inside there, you can see the metal. So that's what we want. We want this cable end part touching that metal inside. So just put it in like so and then screw it on. Once you get it tight enough, give it a little tug. It should not come out whatsoever. Okay, next you want to do the negative side. Same process. Just unscrew it, feed it through. You should have enough sticking out through the other end, and then just screw it right back in. Give it a little tug. It should not come out at all. Alright, next what you want to do is unscrew the end of the other side of the Posi Tap, and you can see there's going to be a little slit into the plastic, and on this side there's going to be a point. This point is actually going to protrude through the insulation of the cable and get a good connection. So next, what you want to do is just grab your plastic end and just feed it through, like so. If you can, try not to be too close to the end here. Try to get more closer to this area. For this demonstration, I'm going to use a different cable because I already did use a soldering method, which I'll explain in a second, but I will grab a different wire to finish this demonstration. Okay, for this demonstration, I'm going to substitute this red wire for the yellow wire. Just keep in mind that when you're doing this project yourself, you're actually going to go into the yellow wire for the positive. So let's grab our positive. We already took out the little plastic Posi tip. Alright, this is just for demonstration purposes because I did already tap into it, but if you are doing this installation, you are going into the yellow wire. I'm just going to show you as an example on my red wire here, which is not connected to anything, just so I can show you how to do it. Okay, so just grab it and then just slide the end piece there, like so. Then next what you want to do is just screw this piece in on the positive. Might be a little tricky depending on the thickness of the wire. If it is a little bit thick, it might be a little tricky to screw the Posi Tap back on just because it extended outward a little much. But just do what you can. It'll eventually get in there. Just give it a little bit of a force. Okay, just tighten it up as much as you can. Once it's tight, just give it a little tug. It should not come out. Next, what you want to do is grab your negative side, unscrew the gray piece off. Also, for demonstration purposes, I'll be using this separate black cable. It's not connected to anything, just to show you. On the cable itself, you're going to be looking for the black cable, which is the furthest out. So you got your yellow, your blue, and your black. So just grab your black cable and then just grab the Posi tip here and just make sure that you put the cable through the slit on the end cap here. Might be a little tricky to get it on there. Like I said, some cables are thicker than others, but it should fit. Okay, once you get it on there, grab your negative side and then just screw it on. Tighten it up and then give it a little tug. It should not come out. So it should look like this. Your controller with the voltage side connected to the cables of the tail light. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to connect the LEDs to the LED side of this controller. Okay, now that you already connected your side with the brake light, now we're going to connect the LED side. So for the LED side, what we're going to do is we're going to splice the cables for the LED side, not on the controller. So what you want to do is just get your wire splicers and make sure that when you connected both on the LEDs, the two negatives to each other and the two positive to each other. So one negative from each strip, and then the same thing with the positive. So on here I have my two cables as our negative. For demonstration purpose, I'm going to just splice this cable that I don't have connected to anything. So we're going to splice this cable. So make sure you get enough spliced off, like so. And then what you want to do is just twist the cables together, twist the wire like so. Then you want to get your positive cables, the two cables that you did together, which is right here for me. But for this demonstration, I'm going to do it on this cable here that's not connected to anything. Okay, after you splice it, just twist the cable. Okay, now you want to do is grab your Posi Tap. again, like you did with the first time when you connected to the tail light, grab the end with the hole in it. We're going to start off with the negative this time. Just feed it through. You should have enough cable sticking out from the other end. Then just feed it through this side, and then just feed it through this side. Now screw it in. Give it a good tug, it should not come out. Now let's get to the positive side, again with the little hole at the end. Unscrew it, and then feed your cable through it. You should have enough sticking out. And then just screw this down. Give it a little tug, it should not come out. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew the gray ends of the Posi Tap. Let's start off with the red side here, the positive side. And then you're going to have your LED controller on the LED side. So let's grab the red side, and we're just going to put the Posi Tap gray part through the slit on the plastic here. It should go on. Again, some cables are a little bit different, so he's gonna have to just press he's gonna have to work with it, and it should go in. Just make sure when you get it in there, push it all the way to the bottom, like so. So it should be all the way towards the bottom of the Posi Tap. Now you just want to grab your end and screw it on. And depending on the thickness of the cable, it may be a little bit hard to get it threaded at the beginning, but once you get it in there, just tighten it up all the way. There you go. Give it a little tug, it should be alright. Okay, now let's grab the negative side. Okay, unscrew the gray cap of your Posi Tap. Okay, grab the negative side of your LED controller, and same thing. Just slide it through the little gap on the plastic piece here. And then once you get in, just push it all the way until you get to the bottom of it, like so. And then just screw this part in. If you're having trouble trying to screw it in, just pinch these two ends here as you're trying to screw the Posi Tap on. That usually helps if the cable was a little bit thicker than the slit or the slot on the Posi Tap. Okay, give it a little tug and it should be all set. So now you're all set with the LED side of the connection, and also with the voltage side that's connected to your tail light section. As soon as everything's alright, now it's time to put everything back together. Okay, if you're going to go with the soldering method, what you want to do is splice from the cable on the yellow side. We're going to start off with the positive. So these are going to be the cables that you're going to be splicing. It will be the yellow and the black. So just take off as much insulation or tape as you can and splice around this area. So just grab your wire splicers and then splice this area. Then what you want to do next is grab your LED controller. This side that says voltage, that's the two cables that you're going to be using to go into the rear of the tail light. So on this one, what you want to do is splice your cables. As you can see, I already did that. Splice it and then twist the end part of the cable. Then what you want to do is grab your positive, and the positive is going to go to the yellow, and the black, of course, is going to go to black. So do this, and then just wrap your cable. And then this, as soon as you wrap your cable, wrap your wire, put a little bit of solder paste That would help with soldering a lot quicker and faster, and you won't get those big clumps of solder everywhere. So a little bit of solder paste, connect your wire, solder it, and then put some electrical tape over it so you don't create a short. And same thing with the negative. Wrap it there, a little bit of solder paste, solder it, and then wrap it with electrical tape. Now what you want to do is on the LED side of the controller, which is LED, that's where you want to connect your LEDs to. So you want to grab your wire strippers and then just strip enough. You don't need to do too much. Okay, that's too little. Let's go a little bit more. I would say that's good enough. Same thing with the negative. That should be good. And then just twist the ends of it. So now that you did that, now you want to grab your, we'll go with the negative. Grab your 2 negative cables from each of the LEDs and then splice it and then twist them together. And then what you want to do is just, you know, just wrap the cables. I know for this is just a demonstration purpose. Just wrap it and then put some solder paste and solder it, and then put some electrical tape. And same thing with your positive cables. Grab your 2 positive cables, strip the ends of it, tie it together, and then grab your positive from the controller, and then also put some solder paste, solder it, and put some electrical tape over it. So everything should be connected. So from the LED side over here to the power that's on your, from your tail light, it should look like this. Should be like so. Okay, so now what we can do is want to put everything back together. Okay, now before we put everything back together, I'm just going to put some electrical tape over this area. So if you have it so like this, just give it a little electrical tape just to wrap up the wires to make it a little bit of a more cleaner install. So just grab enough tape and then just wrap it over. Okay, once you're done wrapping all the cables, it should look like this with your LED controller. Okay, now let's put the tail light back into its place. Okay, next you want to put that little plastic piece that you took out from before, just to put the cable back on there so it's not moving around. Alright, now to put your tail light right back where you got it from. So now that you have everything connected, what you want to do is get it through the bottom here. Now don't forget, when you put the tail light back in, you're going to have to put those pins right through the rubber grommet pieces. And remember, there's one on this side and one on that side. So as you're maneuvering to put the tail light in, just pull on the plastic pieces here, mainly this black one. Pull it out as far as you can without going too far with cracking the plastic. Just enough so you could get the little pin right back into the rubber grommet. So once you get one side in, just do the same thing for the other side and get that part in there. Okay, maybe a little tricky to get it in, but once you get it in there, just make sure everything's secure. The controller's right there. Just maneuver the controller so it can be out of the way of any moving parts, especially when you put the seat down. So I figure right there is looks pretty good right there. Okay, everything looks good up here. And then for the bottom, everything looking good down here. Alright, so next what you want to do is get those 2 little metal collars that you had removed at the beginning and then slide them back in. Okay, so we got the 2 little collars that we had removed at the beginning. So now what I do is just slide them back in. There you go. And then grab your bolts that you had removed also. So everything is pretty much the reverse of what you did at the beginning. So now let's just grab the bolts and put them in there. Okay, after you tighten the bolts down here, you want to grab your little plastic tail end here. And if you look inside, there is this little like notchy area here, little plastic piece. That piece is gonna go against this little lip on the tail light. So, and also you got the little plastic pieces here on each side. That's also gonna go inside in these 2 slits here. And it should just slide right in. Now you want to grab your bolts and tighten it down. Okay, next what you want to do is grab your other screws and then screw them back to each end. One on this side and same thing on the other side. Should look like that. Okay, now that you're done with the top installation, now you want to grab those little plastic pieces that you had taken out before and then just pop them back into place on the undertail. So one here, pull it like that, should look like this, and then just pop it in place and then just close the screw in there. So let's pop it in there like so, and then once you get it in, just press on the screw. Once you hear the click, you know it's securely in. Do that for the rest of the 3. Okay, next what we're going to do is placement of the LED strips. I forgot to mention, which I apologize, is that we're also going to need an 8mm socket to take out the little bolts that hold the seat. Now you're taking out the bolts for the seat, just lift up your seat and take it off. Once you get this area opened up, what you want to do is feed your LED strips so you can get it towards the bottom on each side. Okay, looking at the undertail of your R3, if you notice down here there's actually a little opening. That's where you want to have your LED strips come down from. So as you can see, there's like a little opening between the frame and the plastic tail end. So just put your finger through so that way you could see point of reference from the other side of where this location is. So if we go from the top here, just look for your fingers. Pretty much it would be right around here. So as you can see me move my finger, that's where you want to feed your LED strips. Okay, so we pinpointed that it's going to be around this area of your bike. So just grab your LED strip and then just feed it to the bottom. And then from the other end, just look for it so you can pull it through. So as you're feeding it through the bottom, just grab your hand, get your hand and just look for it. Once you feel it, just start pulling it in from the bottom. And then pull it until you wired area. So just keep pulling on it until you get to that point. Okay, from the other end, just keep tugging on it until you get to the exposed the wire. Once you get up to the wire point, that's where you want to just leave it for now. Now let's get to the other side. Okay, same process for the other side. If you notice, you have a little bit of a gap here between the plastic and the frame of the bike. Just put your finger through, and then from the other side, look for your finger. And there it is. Alright, so now we know that's the area where we want to put the LED through it. Okay, so grab your LED strip and then just feed it through. At the same time through the bottom, just look for it. Should be pretty easy because the hole in that area is pretty big. So just keep feeding it through until you get to the wired part. Once you get to the wired part, just let it hang for now. Now we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, now that you have your LEDs hanging on both ends, right here and right over here, what you want to do next is prep the area where you're going to be installing your second LED strips for your brake lights. I found a cool place, kind of out of the way, kind of discreetly placed. Would be right over here on the underneath tail end. So it looks something similar to like right around over here. But it's up to you. Wherever you want to put your second brake light LED strips, it's totally up to you. You figure out the location, what suits you best. To prep the area, we're going to use alcohol. I'm using this one. And then you also want to grab a clean paper towel. It could be a blue one, white one, green one, it doesn't matter as long as it's clean. Alright, so let's grab a sheet. Placement of your LEDs can be anywhere as long as it's in the tail end area of your bike. As long as the most important thing is that they're visible to traffic that's behind you. You don't want to put it behind the license plate because obviously you're not going to see it, or anywhere that's just going to look like LED glow on your wheel. You want to make sure that they're visible to traffic behind you so that they know that you're coming to a stop. For me personally, I'm going to put it alongside the tail section right here. that's my location of where I'm going to install LEDs. If you want to do the same, that is totally cool. So I figured that this area right here is the best spot for me, because we are going to clean this area. You want to make sure that the area that you're installing your LED is clean of debris, dirt, and grime. So that's what we're doing with the alcohol paper here. As you can see, this area was a little bit dirty, so you definitely don't want to install your LED strips on a dirty surface area, because it's, first off, it's not going to stick very well. I'm using alcohol because it cleans very well, and also it evaporates and dries pretty quick. Okay, next what you want to do is peel off the backing off of your LED strip. Just peel off the backing, and as you're doing it, start off, I would say, around right over here. Pretty much just flush with the backing of there. So as you're pressing on it and sticking it, just make sure you're going along with the edge of the black, because it does curve towards the top here. So as you're sticking it on, just make sure you're holding it and pressing it firmly, going along the edge of the black part of the tail end. So just keep going until you get to the top, and as you get to the top, just make sure you give it a good press, and then once it's in, you're all set to go. Then just repeat the process for the other side. Okay, we want to do the same thing on the left side of the bike. Is clean off all this area over here, because that's where I'm going to install my LED. Okay, now let's do this side. So just peel a little bit at a time when you're doing this. You don't want to take the whole thing off and then mess up. So just do little by little. So just peel a little section, and then you want to start a little bit more surface. So I would say probably around there. Once you find your spot, just start pressing it against and going along the edge of the black part of your tail end. And like I said, just go little by little. No need to rush in this part. So just make sure you're just going along the edge of the black. Okay, once you're done installing, it should look like this. Alright, so now let's put the bike back together from the top side. Okay, now what you want to do is grab your seat and install that back on. Make sure when you put your seat back in, this little lip right here, or this little plastic piece that is sticking from the seat, goes into the little square area right here. So when you put it in the seat, just make sure it slides right inside. Also, before I put the seat in, if you had your bike in storage and installed this cable for the battery maintainer, if you're still planning to connect your battery maintainer to your bike when you're not using it, just leave the cable hanging off to the side. I will show you a neat little spot on the R3 where you could tuck your cable and let it be out of the way when you're riding, and easy access to it when you need it. If you're not planning to connect your battery maintainer anymore and you're ready to ride for the season, just tuck it away somewhere on the bike where it's not going to be in the way of any moving parts. For me, I'm still going to connect my battery maintainer because I don't ride that often, so I would still like my battery to be charged and ready to go, so I'm going to keep the cable off to the side. Okay, so put your seat back in. So get your little bolts and then just tighten them down. Okay, after you get your seat tightened down, now next is to put that little cover that goes right here. Okay, like so. Now next you want to put is your screws, one on this side and one on that side. Okay, once you're done installing your little plastic piece, next would be your final thing would be to install your rear seat. Okay, so now that you have put your seat and everything already together, the cable that you have just hanging around for the battery maintainer, you could actually tuck it away perfectly right here, just alongside the edge of the seat. And then just tuck this piece inside, and then you'll have a little loop here for easy access whenever you need it. So right now it's out of the way when you're riding, and then whenever you get back and you want to connect your bike back to the battery maintainer, Just grab onto this little loop right here and then just pull the cable out. And there you go. Now you can connect your bike without having to remove the seat and everything to get to your cable. Now you can connect it to your battery maintainer and then disconnect whenever you're ready to ride again. Okay, now on your remote you're going to actually have several different options. You're going to have your on switch, light, brighter, less bright, 100% bright, 50 or 25 if you wanted to select any one of those. If not, keep pressing the brighter button. You really don't want to go with the lesser bright because you want to make sure you're seen. So the brighter the better. I would just press the 100%. You're going to have different modes of lighting. So if you want, you just select through the modes that you want. You could select faster speed or a slower speed. When we get to it, I like to select something in the middle. Okay, for this process, you're going to have to find a way to compress your lever for the brake. If you have a rubber band, I would suggest using that. So just so you could compress the brake. So while you're going through your mode patterns, you could select which one you want, because the way we wired it was as soon as you press the brake lever, your lights should turn on. As soon as you let go of the brake lever, your second light will turn off. So that is actually the on and off switch, besides the on and off switch on the remote. I don't have a rubber band. I'm just going to use this wire and I'm just going to tie it so it could actually hold down on the lever. Okay, I already tied my wire against the brake lever. Okay, so now let's turn on the bike. Not all the way, just to accessory mode. Okay, now that your bike's on, use the remote. Press the on button. Once you press it, it should turn on. It'll be on the default low setting. What you want to do is select the brightest. So let me put it on the tripod so I can show you better. Okay, turn off all the lights, or most of the lights, so you can see it better. Alright, so here are our secondary lights right here. As you can see, they're on, but they're dim. Use the remote and select 100%. There you go. At 100%. Now you want to cycle through the modes that it has. So you can see it has different modes. You could also select the speed that you want. I think that one's a good attention getter right there if I were to slow it down. Alright, so just go through the mode, the one that you think that will get the attention of the drivers behind you, and then just adjust the speed. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and leave any comments below. Thank you for watching. And stay tuned for after video footage of the lights in action out on the street, along with some additional lighting, because it's always a good thing to be seen, especially at night. There would also be a link in the description below of all the products I used for this installation.